Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tiny Table Radio Talks. I'm Cory Austin, and I'm joined today by Anthony Garcia, known as WARHOV. He's a DJ and producer from Harlem, New York, lives in Long Island City now. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cory.
First question I like to ask everybody, how you got started as a DJ and a producer, what inspired that?
So I started DJing sometime when I was like a teenager. I would DJ like some of the house parties that my family would have. College, I would DJ some of the college parties and things like that. But then it really picked up and I started taking it serious around 10 years ago. Another cousin of mine gave me a tractor S4 and I would go to his house to like practice, and I was playing a lot of trance because that's like what really got me in, like Armin van Buuren, Andrew Rayel, Cosmic Gate, Above and Beyond. And I started really enjoying it. It was just a different outlet for me. And then after that, I started doing events with some friends of mine up in Washington Heights because there wasn't an outlet for people of color or like Latinos in that area that, you know, we were going to Pacha every single weekend, but there was no events up in the areas that we lived in. So I started DJing at a place regularly. And then, from that, one thing led to the next, and been DJing for over 10 years now.
The context here, Anthony's a friend of Marlon Ace, who was on a previous episode of this one. So how did you two?
We met through mutual friends for sure.
Okay.
He's friends with a buddy of mine, and then we would play randomly like back to back at some friends' parties. He already had like his own DJing stuff going on as well. Like with a lot of my friends, like the music just connected us. And then us being DJs and producers, we just grew closer and stuff. So yeah.
That wasn't on the list, so I'm sorry. I know I threw you
No,
off there.
It's good.
When did the switch like sort of flip for you, saying, okay, you know, this is fun, but now I want to get booked. Now I want to start performing and playing out.
First, it was, you know, just like anything. It was like a hobby. Started getting booked at like TBA, which is unfortunately closing.
R.I.P. TBA.
Yeah, so like I like cut my teeth there, and then I started DJing. I was doing events as well, so like I was DJing at Cielo, and different places. R.I.P. Cielo as well, one of my favorite clubs ever. After I had done so many gigs and played in so many different spaces, I just kind of like had to sit down and have a conversation with myself, like, is this really what you want to do? Are you serious about this? And then that's when I just kind of started shifting my mindset from taking any and every single gig to more so DJ around a particular sound, or that brought certain musical elements when they were performing. Like I've opened for Francis Mercier, I've opened for Sultan and Shepherd at Elsewhere. Francis Mercier was in Chicago.
Nice.
So, you know, just being more intentional with where I DJ.
You mentioned that, you know, you started to brand yourself and have a certain sound. How would you describe?
Number one, groove is king. So I always see DJing like there's two different kinds of DJ sets that you'll see. One is like an artist set, which is more so like melodic, deep progressive house, because that's like what I produce. But if you see me DJing at, let's say, like Black Flamingo, which again is closing, R.I.P.
Too many.
That's more so like straight New York house, a lot of soul, a lot of jazz, a lot of old club records. That's more of a self-expression of who I am as a person versus as an artist. And then when I'm playing shows for, you know, headlining acts, then that's more Anthony, the producer, DJ.
Yeah. Is there one that you prefer over the other? For you, not for anybody else, for Anthony.
They're just so different.
Yeah.
Like they're
it's like
just
two different personas.
Yeah. If you ask me like which would be a little bit more fun, I would say just a DJing in a smaller room.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the act of a DJ and reading a crowd and knowing where to take them through a journey and playing, you know, 3-4 hour sets, like that's quintessential DJing, and like that's what I love, because that's what I did first. Opening for big acts is great. You know, you get to play bigger rooms. That's always fun. It's a different way to prepare, a different way to engage with a crowd. I've been torn with that question for a very long time.
It's okay to like both of them too, right? You know, I think you're right in the sense that they are very different, right? And I think a lot of DJs, I don't know, it's how I learned the craft too, is house parties and just playing with friends and just getting lost in the space for hours and hours and hours and seeing where I could go with different songs and tracks. And, you know, it's kind of like the home base, I think, for a lot of DJs. And then it sort of shifts and evolves into, okay, well, now I'm playing for other people and I'm performing for this big crowd in this big room. How are they going to react? And it becomes more of a performance rather than an experiment. And both are like, so beautiful in their own ways, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think like, you know, but they are slightly different.
Yeah.
You know, they definitely, it's different pieces of who we are as musicians, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's definitely like different preparation that goes in mind for those two different kinds of DJ performances or whatever you want to.
Yeah.
One is I would say like the artist performance DJ is more for the crowd versus when you're DJing in a smaller room, it's more for like yourself as well. Like you can be a little bit more selfish with the tracks that you choose.
In that setting, the crowd also appreciates that in a different way too.
Yeah.
Like you know what you're going there for.
Yeah, exactly.
On that note, is there any one gig or show, performance, place, big, small, intimate, you're like, man, I want to bottle that and hold on to that forever?
Yeah, definitely when I opened the room at WARHOV for Sultan and Shepherd.
Oof, nice.
That was like my first big artist that I had played a room for, and also was one of my favorite clubs, and I was harassing them via email, just like cold emailing them for a long time. And
yeah, man, you got to knock on doors.
If I want to play somewhere, trust me, you're gonna know about me. I have no issue with cold emailing, but
it's a Harlem mindset, right?
Yeah, like you know, if the door isn't there for me, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna make it. It was in a very turbulent time in my life, and like I was just like home, and I randomly get the email like, "Hey, are you free this Friday?" And I was like, I go to check their calendar, see who's there on Friday night, and I was like, no way, they don't want me to play for Sultan and Shepherd. There's no way. And you know, they're on Lane 8's label, which is Lane 8's like one of my biggest inspirations when I first started DJing.
Okay.
So I was like, no, this can't be happening. And yeah, it did. And like that moment, it just kind of felt like all the empty rooms that I had played for before, because I did play on a lot of empty rooms. There were gigs where it would just be literally me, my girlfriend, the promoter, and the bartender. It was like, it was all worth it.
Yeah.
For that moment. Yeah, and then I also have to say, recently, Black Flamingo, me and one of my closest friends, Jeremy, him and I have been playing back-to-back together for years. I booked him to play Cielo when he was 19 years old.
Nice.
So we go way back, and it was a week that we found out that Black Flamingo was playing, and I always wanted to DJ there, and he hit me up. He was like, yo, I can have us play there on Saturday. Are you down? And we played open to close, and that was just like magical. Amazing. It was a magical night.
You mentioned that Lane 8 was one of your early inspirations.
Yeah.
What about them caught your ear, inspired you? What have you taken from that inspiration and sort of crafted into your own sound?
Yeah, I think so. I grew up in a very musical household. Like my dad is a salsa singer, songwriter, musician.
Nice.
You know, I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican, so like our home is always music playing. When my grandma would clean, she was playing ballads. My mom loved R&B, so like we were always listening to R&B and like Quiet Storm in the nighttime and stuff like that. And coming from my first exposure being trance, like I thought all like rave music was like loud, fast, hard.
Yeah. And
he was the first artist that I heard that like blended like those two worlds for me, like that R&B soft richness with, you know, still some are club records and some are you know, just stuff that you can play in the background.
Right.
I was just like captivated, and first time I saw him, TBA, RIP, for his mix mag. I always said like, before I even started producing, just while I was DJing, I was like, I want to evoke that emotion.
Yeah.
On the dance floor, you know, be it happy, be it sad, but like have you genuinely feel something.
Right. I mean, I think that, you know, having a musical background, at least for me, hearing like dance music early on felt very similar to I think your experience of like, oh, trance, it's just this and there's no in between. And then I heard music that was kind of a mix of the two with like, you know, heavy low end, good grooves, good rhythm, but also musical, melodic, and like it like I got goosebumps hearing these things. And I'm just like, okay, this is where I want to like. I'm like I'm hooked, right? And like I feel like I've been in that space for probably like 5-6 years in terms of what I really get drawn to listening to. But man, like I really feel what I'm trying to say is I really feel what you're saying.
Yeah,
in terms
I mean that's not to say like trance is emotional, right?
Of course,
but like I'm not trying to listen to 132 BPMs
all the
morning,
time.
You know. So
it
still has that element, but yeah, like the more slowed down, like that was like my first exposure to like that sound.
So when you are DJing or even producing for that matter, do you have a certain like creative process that you go through to, you know, I suppose it's super different for producing than it is for DJing, but
yeah,
take either one of those.
so for DJing, I'm not the best. I grab I make a playlist with songs that I want to play.
Yeah.
And then I just go on the fly.
Nice.
And then in terms of like producing, generally more times than not, I'm starting with like a chord progression. Because I just like hear it. Or if I hear like 3 notes in my head that's like repeating for whatever reason, like I'll go and I'll start with that. So I generally tend to start with the melodic ideas first. And then I'll go on and I'll start working on like the main groove. When I was learning how to produce in the beginning, everything is about, or for any producer, it's all about quantity, right? To get to that point.
Right.
But it's like, I'd rather take the time and take longer to get better producing, knowing that what I'm producing, I'm enjoying every single time. And, you know, with progressions, and especially if you know a little bit of theory, it gets a little crazy sometimes, you know, you'll start doing more than you have to when simplicity is honestly key. So that's generally like what I'll start with.
Nice. Is there anything you're working on right now that you're like, oh, I'm really excited to finish this, or you just in a phase where there's just a lot going on, you're gonna kind of see what stands out?
Yeah, there's 2 remixes, maybe 3 that I'll be releasing sometime this year that I'm really excited for. And then like original music stuff, I have a few tracks that I'm getting ready to like pitch to labels and stuff. Every day just growing, trying to get better, and like trying to finish tracks as quickly as I can. Because once I get over an idea, like it's done, and I'm like on to the next.
Okay, so you don't get stuck on it. You're not like a perfectionist about stuff, or
it's not really that. I definitely am, but it's more so like you're learning so much every single day as a producer, right? You learn one new thing that makes you 1% better, and then you go back to that track and you're like, oh, now I have to add this 1%. When which you should have done was finished it and add that 1% to the next track. So I'm really trying to stay away from that so I can actually like finish stuff and get them out.
Yeah, it's funny because as we're producing, I definitely can be very guilty of, oh, maybe let me just move this 1.1 dB up in this frequency, and like nobody's gonna hear that, right?
But I hear it.
Right. I swear it sounds different. What is something that you have learned lately that when you've been producing that's stuck with you, that you're like, okay, now I'm glad I picked up on this?
Honestly, simplicity is key. I have a rule for myself now where, specifically with my melodies, if it's more than 4 notes, I'm trashing it. Like for the phase that I'm in right now.
Okay.
Because I go back and I listen to like a lot of my early inspirations. Yodo, for example, is an artist that I really like. A lot of his early stuff was, if you listen to the melodies, they're just like 3 notes. And like there's such great records. Trance, the same thing. A lot of their records are, not to get technical, but like gallops and stuff that they're using, but it's really 3-4 notes. So it's really just going back, like learning a lot of things so that you have it in your head, but also knowing that like, you have to dial it back when it's actually time to write. So
there are so many great records that are very simple in terms of the notes that are actually played, right? And it's just kind of not what the notes are, but what is done with those notes, right? So that's cool. I'm glad you told me that one.
I don't take my own advice all the time, so
it's easier much easier to give advice than it is to take your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a genre or an artist in particular that's caught your ear lately that you want to soak up a bit more of?
I'm loving a lot of the stuff that Robbie East has been putting out. He's on This Never Happened, Late Nate's label. So simple, but it's just perfect.
Okay, Robbie East. I'm gonna have to check him out. I'm not familiar.
Locally in New York, Zev, he's doing some like really dope, like deep progressive house that's like club bangers.
Nice.
So yeah, we gotta shout out our local talent too. So
nice.
He's definitely someone to check out.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely have to take a look. I do like to ask this one to everybody too. If there's a dream artist that you could collaborate with or B2B with, who would it be?
Sade and Kid Cudi.
Yeah. Say less.
Go back with, I would say Cascade, but not a festival set, like in a club.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've heard a handful of stories, and there's not a specific one that's popping into my head, but I know I've heard of that. A lot of the big artists, Cascades, Calvin Harris, when you get them in a more intimate setting, their sets are so different.
Yeah, right? I mean, I've seen David Guetta in an intimate club, and like it was literally one of the best sets I've ever heard.
Oh yeah, he's like, a genius.
Because these guys are, you know, nowadays it's like producer turned DJs,
right?
But during their era, it was DJ turned producer.
Mm-hmm.
So like they know how to work a room,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
they know how to play those cuts. So I mean, I saw Cascade recently for an after party, and like that set was just like insane.
You make me want to go to afters again.
Don't go to the afters. Stay home.
Stay home, guys. Kids.
There's nothing there.
Stay home. We'll take it into your studio or your DJ setup now. Is there a piece of software or equipment that you can't live without?
Does Ableton count?
Yeah, that's
okay.
software.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
I felt like that was like an easy one. Yeah, obviously Ableton. Without that, I can't make music. I would have to say Serum. I use Serum pretty often. Love Diva, but Serum is just more intuitive for me. I can move a lot quicker.
Yep. We'll switch it over to DJing for a little bit here. And something new that I'm starting to ask people.
Yeah.
But tell me about just like your setup with the decks, with your USB, your headphones. Like what do you carry to a show, and what would be your dream writer if you had to set it up?
Oh man, dream writer. All right. Well, I always take my laptop with me to the club.
Okay.
I don't trust USB sticks. I have 5, and recently I was playing at Cafe Balearica. 4 of them stopped working.
No.
And then I had
my worst nightmare.
Luckily Marlon was there, and I was like, bro, I have my laptop in my bag. I have this one USB from when I first started DJing. So I'm gonna play off of this, and can you just like figure out what's going on with my other USBs? And luckily he sorted it out for me. So I always bring my laptop no matter what. Extra USBs, because you never know what can happen.
Always bring extra.
Yeah, especially in New York. Unless you're playing like in a really, really good club, and you'll be surprised, even some good clubs have terrible equipment.
Yeah.
They may not be synced together.
Yep.
So like always bring you USBs, obviously headphones. I've had DJs that, I don't know why, they don't bring their own headphones. So you gotta pack your headphones.
Yep.
I mean, I don't drink, so I'd probably have like, I mean, on my right now I have tequila, but that's for my girl.
Yeah. It's nice of you.
So non-alcoholic drinks. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably ask for like something super random, like red Sour Patches gummies, like just the red ones. Yeah, and maybe like a steak before I get on.
Yeah, why
DJ.
not? You know, my dad's works in the music industry. He doesn't have to set this part up. He does more backline in the equipment.
Yeah.
But he has said he's seen artists that would say, "I only want green M&Ms."
Yeah, I
like
think Rihanna
just
has
like
something
just to like,
that.
and often it's, I think, just to see if people are actually reading and paying attention.
Reading it, yeah.
You know, but it's like, could you imagine like just pulling like one color M&Ms out for an artist, like a whole bowl of these? Like
I've seen writers, because when I was producing events, I would book artists, and like I would have artists ask for like condoms. And I'm like,
okay.
I'm like, fine, but you know, you can't bring them with you. But yeah, I think it's like you said, it's to see if everyone's reading it.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna add to my rider. I have like 2 bananas there, but I might swap it for like a picture with you and your dog, or a picture with you and a family member.
I like that. Yeah,
I think
framed photo.
Yeah.
What about the technical setup? So like, what decks, what mixer?
Standard like 3000s with a V10.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Yeah, I used to want to play on a Zone 92, but I mean the V10 is just, it's comparable to the sound. So at this point, it's like, you know.
Well, thank you for letting me learn a little bit more about your musical journey. Before we head over to the set here, do you have an idea? If not, that's fine. Do you have an idea of where you're going to go with the set that you're about to play?
I really don't know.
Great.
I'm excited. I'm
excited to be surprised.
I'm excited to be surprised.
I honestly, like, I wish I didn't have to ask for those before, but YouTube and copyright, you know, you just I can't be too careful.
I have some soft stuff to start. Some really nice groovy stuff.
Nice.
And then we'll see what happens from there.
Cool. Do you have any upcoming gigs or releases in the near future that you're excited about, you want to share with us?
I have nothing. So if you are looking for a DJ, I'm your guy.
Here's your guy. Listen to his set, and then email him before he emails you a bunch.
Literally.
Anthony, where can people find you, learn more about you, follow you online?
Yeah, so Instagram, WARHOV, WARHOV. TikTok, that's where the kids are now. So that's where I'm at.
All right.
And SoundCloud, same thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Where did the artist name come from, by the way?
So Andy Warhol is my favorite artist, and Jay-Z is my favorite rapper. So I took Hov.
I was trying to figure that one out for so long, and I'm just like, wow, that's a good combo.
Yeah. So I just literally just like put them together.
Sick. I'm glad I asked that.
Sometimes a lot of people don't ask me, but some people do, and they're like, "Oh, that makes sense." And I'm like,
"Yeah, I never would have guessed that." But now that you said, I'm like, I should have known that. But that's great. That's awesome, man. Well, Anthony, thanks so much for your time today. Bro, looking forward to your set, and I appreciate you coming on.
Always.
Nice. All right. Take care, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that Q&A with our latest guest. It would help a lot if you hit subscribe so I can grow this channel and bring more artists onto the show. You'll get to learn more about who they are and hear their craft. So hit that subscribe button now, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the set.